My name is Harvilla, and I'm the Associate Dean and Dean of Students for the full-time MBA program. So I came to the college in 1979 and did my undergraduate work in history, and while I was here I played varsity athletics. I played volleyball and softball. Yes, the university was founded in 1892, and it was a coeducational institution from the very beginning. So women were admitted and were part of the first class. And that was very different from most of the major institutions in the country, which were either all male and or all female. The University of Chicago was part of the Big Ten Conference, so it was very competitive for male athletes. And in 1898, they hired a woman named Gertrude Dudley, who was totally committed to having a comparable athletic experience for women, as much as the times allowed, as the social conventions allowed at the time. So they were she was very much encouraged women to exercise. She had physical education classes. She had groups and competitions for women, to which men were not allowed to be part of the audience. So, and in fact, she even had, women were not allowed to compete intercollegiately with other teams. So what she would do is she would organize what she called telegraphic track meets, where she would have a track meet here, and our women would compete against each other, and women at other institutions would compete against each other, and then they would telegraph the results to Gertrude Dudley here, and a winner would be declared, and they'd be awarded a trophy, depending on what their first, second, or third place. And so she was really one of the first women in the country to encourage intercollegiate competition amongst women. Again, the University of Chicago was very committed to offering equal opportunities to both men and women. And at that time, there were 3 full tuition athletic academic scholarships that were offered to men who came to the college, 4-year scholarships. In 1973, the university began to offer 2 scholarships, full tuition athletic academic scholarships to women as well, in order to be equitable with men. At that time, that was the ratio of enrollment of men to women in the college. It was about 3 to 2. So they offered 2 full tuition scholarships in 1973. There was one publication in the United States called Women's Sports that really had anything to do with women's athletics in the country, which at that point was mostly collegiate and not like it is today. But the University of Chicago put an ad in that magazine figuring that they would get a couple of hundred applications, and it turned out they had bags and bags and bags, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of applications, because this was the only full tuition scholarship in the country that was associated with athletic ability for women. And so in those first several years, the quality of the women attracted to the University of Chicago, quality of athletes, and athletes who were interested in a top-notch education, was probably unequaled anywhere in the country, because it was just the first of its kind. So for about Well, we had a head start because in Title IX it was initiated in '72, but the athletic program for women had existed, as I said, pretty much in different forms from 1898. And there were varsity athletics here as early as 1967-68. So by the time Title IX passed in '72, and most other schools were required to have equitable offerings, athletic offerings for women, we were way ahead. The University of Chicago was way ahead of the game. We were much more competitive than most of the other schools who were for the. When Title IX was finally passed, the most obvious place where there was inequality was in athletic offerings for women versus men. So the fact that colleges and universities were mandated to offer exactly what they did for women for men changed everything. It meant that young girls, before they could participate in high school with the anticipation they could continue to do what they loved and were good at in college. And all the things that go with athletics, which is personal development, competition, camaraderie, lifelong memories that, quite frankly, athletics offers you, in my opinion, that no other activity does.